Lisa Miller is president of Lisa Miller and Associates, creating motivating insights and driven actions, and she gets right to the heart of so what and now what. She brings over 30 years of consumer insights and innovation experience, collecting over 450,000 consumer interviews. Her insights come from an impressive background as VP of Innovation at Brinker International, serving brands including Chili's and Maggiano's, and VP of Consumer Strategy and Insights at PepsiCo and at Quaker. Today, she'll share her latest 2024 consumer survey findings. Lisa, welcome to the Lempert Report Live.
Thanks so much. Excited to be here.
So first, I want to talk about joy. And one of the things that obviously, your book talks about, all your interviews talks about, has to do the importance of us being joyful. And I found from the Greater Good Science Center at the University of California at Berkeley a comment, and I want to get your reaction to this, that people who commit daily micro acts of joy experience about a 25% increase in emotional well-being over the course of a week. Is that true?
Oh my gosh, I love that statistic. And Phil, that just nailed it, right? Is that basically those little moments of joy is what helps us get through the day. And I always say that joy is a choice. It's how we choose to see the world. And yes, there was a statistic I read from the government just saying that if you have more joy, it reduces the heart, your heart disease and all of that. So not only is joy just feel good, it's actually good for our health. So I love that statistic. So joy, everybody needs to make room for it.
Combination of mental health and well-being. Great. So let's talk about your new survey. First up, I know that a lot of your background is food service, but certainly as supermarkets get more into grocerants, as supermarkets are fighting tooth and nail to get some of those food service dollars so that we eat at home, there's a lot that we can learn from your survey. And I guess the first question that you asked had to do with having dinner and moviegoer frustrations. Tell us about that.
Well, I will say we are in a share of wallet war for our fun money, for consumers' fun money. And so back in the day, it'd be like everybody's like, let's go to dinner and a movie. Well, now it's getting kind of expensive. And
very expensive.
It's outrageously expensive. And what's interesting when you look at the data that's up on the screen about the moviegoer frustrations, half of moviegoers basically say prices are up too much. And then you can read down the list with not enough staff, even dirty restrooms. What's fascinating, though, Phil, is that since April, May, all of these numbers have gone up a lot. So what happened then? Barbie, Oppenheimer, all of these people are coming back to the movies, and they're pretty frustrated. So it's not that joyful.
And also, it's interesting to me, in just a firsthand observation, the Palm Springs Film Festival just took place. And the attendance was down considerably. And one of the things that I was talking to someone about is why? Are people not wanting to go to films? And they said, no, the world has changed. You don't have to go to a film festival to see these state-of-the-art films that are not these blockbusters. You can just stream them. So we're really experiencing a whole new way of looking at movies, whether it's through streaming. I mean, it used to be VHS and Beta and those big discs. Then it was the small discs, Blockbuster's gone and all that. But now, touch of a button, we could just stream. So what about the restaurant goers and their frustrations when they go, to restaurants as that part of the dinner of the movie?
Well, definitely. And on the movies, one of the things that movie theaters need to talk about is just this experience, sitting at home watching it. Even if you have the best entertainment center, it's still not the same as the big screen. Right. So there's opportunity for movies to really market that. When it comes to restaurants, you can see that the pricing frustrations are even higher, with 60%. But not surprising, what's happening? Not enough staff, the wait times are long. And it's just, again, it's just not that joyful. So when you're trying to figure out, like, what do you want to go do, dinner and a movie, people are picking one or the other. Because don't forget, for a lot of households with young kids, you've got babysitting on top of that. And so people are just having to make tough choices and they want to have fun. Consumers, half of Americans are craving, I mean, literally, Phil, they're craving social connections with people to get out with their family and friends. It's just expensive.
Very expensive. And if you take a look at, the prices that continue to go up for food because of whether it's climate change or supply chain issues and the like. I was just talking to a friend of mine a week or so ago and was complaining about how they used to go to a diner, if you would, and they could get, scrambled eggs for breakfast and toast and so on, and it was affordable. And now he was telling me that it's like $20 for scrambled eggs and potatoes and toast and coffee. And that's just absurd. But sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say one story I just had to chime in is, speaking of that same thing, I went to breakfast with a friend, 2 oatmeals, a coffee and a tea plus tip at a full service restaurant, $41 for 2 oatmeals in Dallas.
Unbelievable.
Guess what? That was not worth it.
Yeah, so it goes back to your Quaker days and, having like a little cup of oatmeal that you could bring with you and add, some water to. Let's pull back away from movies, away from restaurants, and talk about retail in general, not just grocery retail, but what are people feeling? What frustrations? What are their pain points when they're going shopping for just about anything these days?
Well, I bet everybody out there can guess what's the number one on the list, which is prices have gone up too much. Now, this one is actually impacted also because of the holidays. And so we saw November and December increases in frustrations and not enough staff and pricing and still, dirty restrooms and things like that. But it is impacted by the holidays. What I would say is that those retail outlets that really can focus on the customer experience and a joyful experience, training the employees. I always tell people the next best dollar spent is on your employees. I know the marketing people might get mad at me, but the training, if in the retail space, restaurant space, movies, train your people because that is going to be the differentiator moving forward.
Well, if we look at certain retailers like Wegmans, Danny and Colleen, put their money where their mouth is. They do great training. They have very loyal employees, which then translates to a great customer experience, to your point. So I think that's really, something that we can never forget in retail, that it's not just about price, but that whole holistic experience, if you would. And it starts with the employees. When you look at your crystal ball, and you look at some of the pain point and frustrations over the next 6 months. And certainly we're in a very stressful time with wars going on, with elections going on, and so on. What do you see happening? Is it still going to all be about prices, or are there going to be some other pain points that we've got to recognize?
Well, I think the key to 2024 is going to be recognizing the value equation. It's the simple thing, what you get for what you pay, but now you're paying with your time and your money. Is it worth my time? Is it worth my money? And so what's happening is that we've raised the prices. So like the denominator of that equation is we're upside down on the value equations in most business verticals, whether it's grocery, restaurants, movies, retail, the value equation's upside down. So in 2024, what can you do to add value to what you're giving? So if you have to take a price increase, what can you give back in the experience? And that's where training, really focusing on your people, can provide that little extra. I will say 2 other points. One is for the grocery people, now is a unique moment in time where delivery is kind of in a crazy place, restaurant delivery. And so for grocery stores, if they can think about that when people are coming in shopping, how can you entice them to get to the food service part of it? Because right now, people are really tapping out of delivery, and it could be a unique share of wallet opportunity for the grocery store. And then the last thing that I would say, when I ask people about their New Year's resolutions, basically people are talking about wanting to prioritize and connect in person. They want to find joy. And it all kind of loops back, Phil, with where you started with your quote. It's investing in little moments in joy. And retailers, grocery stores, restaurants, movies, if they can invest a little bit of joy for their employees, it'll transcend to their customers.
Well, Lisa, that's a great forecast, if you would, for our audience, for retailers, for restaurateurs to be able to put at the top of their list, adding a little joy to their customers. And I think it'll come back with new business and new profits. So, Lisa, thanks so much for joining us today on Lempert Report Live.
Thank you so much, Phil. Have a good one.
You too.